Welcome back to the fourth episode of the free email marketing series. Today we're going to be going through how to create a high converting win back flow. As you can see here, we've done the post purchase flow, abandoned cart, welcome series. So now we're going through the win back one. So we're going to be going through how to actually structure it around your brand. So going around when people actually be looking to purchase again. Also the designs and then the implementation on 𝐂𝐤𝐿. So stay tuned. So this is what the flow is actually going to look like on 𝐂𝐤𝐿 once it's done. Here we're actually running a 3 email flow. And before we actually jump into things, I'm going to be going through the timing and kind of how many emails you should actually structure in your own setup before we go into the design. So as you can see here, we've got a 75-day time between when they place the order. So we want to obviously get them to reorder again. Depending on what brand you are running, whether it be in fashion, supplements, anything along them lines of food, for example, as well, these times are all going to change. So let's say, for example, you're running a food brand, you're selling like cookies or pasta, something along them lines. We've actually done it for a alternative pasta brand. And these lead times are going to be a lot shorter because it's not going to take 75 days to eat a box of pasta. You're going to want to bring this down closer to maybe 30 days, even 2 weeks, depending on how aggressive you want to be. I would definitely suggest testing these out. 30 days is not a bad idea. Secondly, if you are running a brand, for example, like a supplement brand or something that needs to be replenished, even like contact lenses, depending on how much, like the quantity of the item you're selling. So say you're selling 30 capsules of a supplement, that then means in 30 days time, well, depending on if you take one per day, in 30 days, they're going to run out. So you want to be sending them reminders to win them back at a second time round as a customer. So right now we've got this set as 75 days. Even for fashion brands, we actually have run this at 90 days and sometimes a little bit more, because if you're running, let's say, a seasonal brand that, say, changes in the seasons, let's say it goes from like summer dresses into, like jeans and that sort of thing when it comes to winter and fall, we want to be making sure that we're sending the win back in these seasons, because obviously people are going to be renewing their wardrobes. They're going to be more inclined to purchase from you again when they see your new season dropping. Even new seasons, it's a good idea to drop this as well to make sure people that have bought quite a while ago, they're maybe not interacting with your stuff, and then you want to try and win them back. So jumping into Figma, I'm going to be going through kind of the ideology around the whole 3 email series. So with this fashion brand, which we've used all throughout the series, I'm just going to keep these same emails. They're not going to look like your traditional ecom emails with all the fancy designs on there. This one's just trying to stay on brand with the fashion brand, keep it simple and everything on brand. So as you can see, this first email, we're actually using a 15% code. So for customers that have already been, they haven't purchased in 90 days, for example, we're going to want to show them a code to try and get them back in the door, back in the ecosystem, and back wearing your clothes or buying your product. So this doesn't necessarily have to be for every brand, but obviously prices are dependent, and the 15% is definitely a great nudge to win people back. Obviously, this would be different if you're sending to non-customers, but this one is just going to be targeted at customers. So jumping into the second email, this one is to kind of get everyone over the objections, especially for dropshipping brands. If you've sold stuff before, your shipping times have been like 3-4 weeks. You can be going saying, we've improved shipping, we've improved packaging, we've improved the product, and we're selling it for the same price. So this is a good way of getting over objections, depending on what objections people may come. For example, this one, it's on the higher end of loungewear. So we want to be showing that people are actually coming back, buying things, reviews and stuff like that. And then the third email, which is why I actually run 3 emails compared to a lot of people running 2, gives you a good chance to run a bit of urgency. So we can say that your offer's going to expire in 24 hours. This is your last chance to get 15% off. And it's like the last time to pretty much convert them. So this is the way I would structure the 3 emails, depending on your brand and your setup. Obviously, if it's an ecom brand, you can go a lot more imagery and that whole ecom style of designing, depending on your brand. So I'm going to jump into 𝐂𝐤𝐿. I'm going to show you how to make this from scratch. So when you come into Creative Flow, you just want to type in win back, and it's going to come up with a load of templates. In this one, we're just going to stick to standard. So this one is email and SMS. And again, email SMS for WooCommerce. So we're using Shopify in this example, and we just want to use template. As I mentioned before, going through the timing so you can kind of get a gist of how many emails you want to be sending. You want to make sure that you're sending at the top saying recipient's location and time zone. So 𝐂𝐤𝐿 is automatically going to put this as wherever you're based. So if you're based in England, obviously that's going to set it to BST. Or, if you're based in America, it's going to be either, Eastern, Central, however it may be. For something that hasn't, for someone that hasn't purchased for 75 days, that means they've then been in your ecosystem for 75 days at least. So make sure to turn skipped recently email profiles off, because the likelihood of them receiving emails, maybe they've received some of your campaigns, but you make sure they definitely want to be receiving your first email. So if we remove recently skipped profiles and go from there. So in the basic templates, we just want to delete everything what's in here as it's really not relevant to us whatsoever. I'm not using any dynamic blocks. We're not needing any links, so we can just literally remove everything and then place an image in here. Then we can jump straight back into Figma and slice. I see a lot of people talking about, you can't use images. You can't just use full base images. You need to use some HTML, code in this and the other. However, the time it takes just to do one email of HTML, it doesn't really add up and it's not really worth the time. And so sticking to images, as long as you get 9 out of 10 things correct, so your deliverability is on point, all your backend set up, and you're managing your list, making sure that your opens, even sending good content as well, making sure your click-throughs on your campaigns, your flows are all good, your deliverability is going to be absolutely fine. So running no images is definitely not going to be a major issue. So when I actually stick to slicing, I mainly just stick to one call to action. So let's see, for example, here, these are all going to take you to the collections page, bestsellers. So you can actually just get away with slicing the whole thing in one. It doesn't need to be sliced in different bits because it's just all the same image really. So we go on to the right hand side, export, PNG. We want to change this to JPEG. In case we've used any PNG images here, it's going to show no background. So when you actually import it, it's just going to come up with the little just going to come up with the white and grey crossed out background. So if we export slice here and then save to downloads, jump straight back into 𝐂𝐽 and upload the image. So uploading it straight in, we want to put the alt text here. We've been thinking about you. So this is pretty much anything what comes up if the image doesn't load, for example, anything along them lines. So just keep it simple, nothing too spammy. So don't really want to include like discounts, like 15% off in case it does get picked up as spam. And then what you want to do in the linked address, you want to be you don't want to be taking this to the homepage. You want to be making it as easy as possible for people to get back into action of shopping. So either straight to a product display page if you're advertising that, or straight to your bestsellers or collections. So you don't want to send them to the homepage. They'll get distracted looking around, seeing what else you have to offer. If you just take them straight to the bestsellers or collections, the likelihood of them converting is definitely going to be a lot higher. Once you've entered your list, make sure that, especially when you're actually slicing, I've mentioned this in all the other videos, but make sure that your slice is right up against the borders. And I've seen a lot of times on these tutorials on YouTube, people are leaving gaps like this. So when you actually import it, you're seeing like a white gap. It's just slightly off-centered. And even when they're slicing different things, let's say they slice this and then they slice the text. If you're not lined up, again, you're going to see little like shifts and tilts in your slicing, which is just not going to look good on the finished result. The main thing as well, which is really good about just importing straight images, is when you flick to mobile, it's going to stay exactly the same. So with this text, especially if you was just to input it straight with 𝐂𝐽, it's then you're gonna have to duplicate it, add one for mobile, and then make sure that it is all fitted to the mobile screen, because obviously desktop's going to be a lot wider, as you can see here. With the text, it's going to just cram it all in. So it's a lot easier just to use images. Then we want to go on preview and test. You can send this straight to your email and your inbox. So you can check on mobile, you can check with dark mode. Again, this is another great reason for using image-based emails, because you're not having to deal with dark mode. Like if this was done with HTML or you're just using 𝐂𝐽, this would switch from white to black, and then all these buttons down here and your footer is going to just look different. It's going to throw it all off, and it's just going to be going against your email design. Secondly, when you're in the preview mode, you want to check the total size. As you can see here, it's miles under, not a risk of being clipped by Google. So everything is a winner. When we're done, we just want to label this, keep this as, we can just change this to agency. So my agency name is Mario Marketing and win back email 1. And then in the subject line, we want to make it clear that saying we miss you, here's 15% off. And then we want to go with the preview text, come get cozy with 𝐑𝐞𝐥𝐚𝐭𝐞𝐝. I've not gone into too much effort when it comes to this, as you know, it's obviously subject line and preview text is based around your brand. However, if you're offering a discount, I would recommend putting it in your subject line, because if you look on mobile phone, especially if that's where most of your customers are coming from, the subject line is going to be at the top of your notification email. 15% in the subject line is going to stand out a lot more than if it was in the preview text. So especially with Winback, you're trying to re-gauge people's attention, get them back in your ecosystem. So making it clear as possible that they're going to get 15% off in their email. Especially with this email, I think we actually could have redesigned it a little bit better and had it a little bit higher up saying get your discount code straight away rather than them having to scroll down in the email. Could definitely hurt us on the click-throughs. However, something we're aware of and it's definitely going to be monitored with this brand. Then we click done, and that is the first email inputted. And then you want to repeat that for the other two emails if you choose to go for a 3 email sequence. With these times in between, I wouldn't really say they make too much difference. You could maybe reduce this to 7 days, 10 days, and then for the third email, again, another 5 to 6 days. It doesn't really make too much difference after this. Like if they don't convert on the first email, then the likelihood of them converting on the second and third obviously going to be reduced. So depending on how aggressive you want to be, changing this between anywhere from 5 to 15 days is not too bad in general. Again, you'd be running these tests. Are these tests going to bring you any extra value? Probably not, but it's definitely something that you can choose to run. So that video is a lot shorter than the rest of them. We kind of kept it straight to the point, as much value as we could in a short amount of time, so you guys aren't sitting there listening to me waffle away. If you are running an e-commerce brand, whether you're being 50k a month, 10k a month, 200k a month, feel free to book a call with us below. My Candy link's below. We'll give you a free audit and email design. And as you can see, we're running a deal right now. So 75k of new email revenue in the next 90 days, or we work for free. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to book a call with us on the link below. And I hope to hear back from you.